This session through the Westcliff University Light Center is on active watching. Many of us like to include videos in our classes, but how can we ensure that we're getting the maximum out of those lessons? How are we making sure that our students are getting every opportunity possible to expand on their knowledge and really take what they're learning while watching the video and applying it to follow-up questions or activities? Today, we will focus on the overview of starting a class and how to use a clip in the beginning of class. We'll look at how to use a video clip to facilitate discussion, and then what to look for when we're looking at videos. What can we do to select the right video for our classes? So if I wanted to start a class where I wanted to show a video. And I could start it off with talking about classroom management skills. So I'm going to show this clip next. And while you're watching, I want you to note the following things. And so I can list these here on my slide. What strategies did the teacher use? Did they handle the situation well? What advice would you give to this teacher? And so I can use these questions. I can put them in the chat. I can send them out to students, but I want them to know what to look for during that time. So then what I can do is once they have those questions, I have the video started and ready to go in here. And I think many of you are familiar with this movie, and you have the kindergarten cop scene here. And I'm just going to jump through it a little bit. I'll go to a little bit of a good point here.
Shut up! Shut up!
And so this video clip is a little over 2.5 minutes long, but obviously he goes into the classroom, he loses control, he screams at the kids, and now we're going to look at if that was handled well. Did the teacher use any strategies? If so, what strategies did he use? Did he handle it well? Yes, no. And then what advice would you give that teacher? So we can have a nice follow-up discussion to this. And then we can move on to maybe watching the opposite. What happens in a class where you see the opposite happening with a good, well-run classroom with very good classroom management skills. So you can use them as a compare and contrast activity there. When we're thinking about active watching and using a video for an introduction, we want to think about what purpose that the introduction video serves. What are we using it for? We might be using it for attracting the students, getting them really ready from the beginning, getting interest in the topic for the class, seeing what students know already, and trying to really get everyone on the same page as we're studying that class. But it can be tricky to find or select appropriate videos. And there might be something that we think, oh, there's got to be a great video out there for that. And then it's really hard to find them. So as you're reading or watching your own video clips and you come across them, I encourage you to find those and put them in a safe place. Think about the length, think about the content, what can be done with this video, what are we looking for, why do we need to input this video in our lesson, why can't we just teach that concept? So we really want to see what the value and the potential of that video is. So for the discussion type of video that we might use, we can again start with some previewing questions. So let's talk about what is an entrepreneur, what does it take to be successful? We can see what our students know already, what they've maybe taken away from previous weeks of the class. We can have a little bit of a discussion here. And then here's another question, what is Shark Tank? And some students will know that, oh, it's a TV show. Here's the logo of that. And now I'm going to actually have a task where students, we've already kind of set this up. So what do you think this is about? Now we're going to watch this video, and I can put them into 2 different breakout rooms. So I'm going to, for this lesson, I'm going to have 2 groups. In the group, in each breakout room, The students will watch the clip. So one person will be the leader. They're going to show the clip on their desktop. Then they answer their group questions, which I'm going to show in the next slide. And I've already given those to the group leader. They are going to write down their ideas, and then two people will share their group ideas afterwards. And they're going to have 8 minutes to do this in. You can always expand that too, depending on how many questions you have. For this task, I have actually given two different sets of questions. So as we recall, the students are in two groups. They're watching with their group, and team A or group A is they're both answering the same first question. Do you think the sharks will bite on this product? But their second task is a little different. Their question here is, you need to list improvements for this product in the pitch. What could be done to make this maybe more marketable or more interesting to the sharks? And then team B, they also answer that, do you think the sharks will bite? But now they're going to list the strengths of the product in the pitch. And so now both of these teams are working on the task as they go along, and we're going to then bring them all back into the same room. They don't know each other's tasks. They only know what their team was meant to look at. And then we bring them back into the same group. And just to show you that video, I have loaded over here, and they watch this video. It's a little over 3 minutes long, and they see the pitch. They see the product. They see how the sharks respond, and they don't actually know if it's selected or not. It's kind of open-ended there. And now we go back and we can look at the post-viewing questions, which now we've input a poll in the class. We can use Zoom polls. We can use another polling tool. Do you think the sharks will bite? Why not? And this you can show on your screen and see, kind of start that discussion off with that common question that both groups had. And then group A and B had different evaluation tasks. So group A can list their one person who's going to speak for the group is going to list the improvements for the product in the pitch. And then group B is going to list the strengths of the product and pitch. And now we can have a more in-depth discussion. We can use the chat to discuss. We can use just talking out loud to chat. And there are lots of different ways we can go with this. We can mix up, we can even use breakout rooms and mix up the students, group A and group B students, to work together so they can talk about it. You can have one big discussion. You can talk about the improvements and the strengths. So this 3-minute video is expanded quite a bit by having the previewing questions, the post-viewing task, or the during task and even post-viewing task, and then now the full discussion. So what started out as a maybe 3-minute video is now a 20-minute type of very robust activity. And it's moving away from the showing the video, what do you think about this video? What did you notice, right? It's giving, that's a very passive approach to watching the video. We want to make the students actively watch and participate in this. So how can we do that? We set it up a little differently. We want to use these videos to grab students' attention. They're a great resource because they can change the pace around. They can be a good visual resource. They can include information that maybe is different than what you have to share on your own experience. But we do want to keep it short. Typically, we look for a video that's 2 to 6 minutes, appropriate level, very to the point, and has potential for that discussion or something else to come out of it. And it should support your presentation, not replace it. So sometimes we decide to use videos because we want to teach a concept using it, but that video is a supplement. It is not what should be used to teach the content. If it is, then that needs to be done maybe outside of the class, or they watch it in a different way. But for this purpose of active viewing, we really want this to be a support and to not be just something that they watch for 5 minutes and then move on to the next activity. You'll always want to design an interactive activity to accompany the video. That way, there's a purpose. There is a reason why they came to class to watch that video. especially in a context where you're showing it in a live session, whether it's online or on ground. If students are meeting, why do they need to watch that video during precious class time? Is there what's the purpose, the surrounding um, ideas that's or the discussion points, and what's the purpose for bringing this video into your class at that time? If we break down active watching, we can see the pre-watching. That's where we get information from the students. We can kind of see what do they already know about the topic? What can they infer about the topic? And what do you think this video will be about? And then while watching, they have a clear task. They answer some questions, they look for something, they have something they need to do or look for while they're watching. And it doesn't have to be complicated, it can be very basic, but it's something to keep students on task and again, actively watching. And then afterwards, that's where you can expand that class discussion on the content and take it deeper, apply it. And you can even add interactive slides or polling or something that can be fun and engaging after watching that video and draw students in even more. If you have any questions, you can definitely email the Light Center at light@westcliff.edu. And thank you for watching today.